right, let's do this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the edition of the Uber Farmer's Cigar. Well, we're in the garage today. The weather is just a little bit too nasty, kind of on the teetering on rain, and the wind's kind of whipping. So, decided to shoot this one in the garage. No big deal. Hope you don't mind. First off, happy Mother's Day. I don't know if I'm going to get this one out on Sunday on the actual Mother's Day. I'm shooting the day before. I'm shooting on Saturday. More on that in a second. So I don't know if this is going to drop on Sunday or if it's going to drop on Monday. I hope you enjoy it. Because we're going to talk about mothers and Mother's Day. But first, what are we smoking? What are we going to be drinking? This one is a Stillwell. It was a number 27, English number 27. Stillwell, yep, English number 27. Well, there's a story behind why I picked that one. But let's go with the beer. There's a story behind why I picked the beer, too. The Sisu Stout from Upper Hand Brewing. Good old brewery here in the UP. Do like their stout. It is Sisu. Very strong stout. The name definitely matches the beer. Let's get a little shot of that there, huh? Beautiful head on that thing. Good, strong stout. Oh, never disappoints. That one kicks you, holds you underwater. And you got to chew a little bit. Not too bad, but you got to chew that one. So anyway, happy Mother's Day. Let's get the controversy out right now. We'll say the controversial part to start off with, and then we'll roll into the rest of the episode. I know you're supposed to leave the controversy until the end. That way people finish your video. But again, I'm doing this for me. So here's my controversial statement. Mother's Day is only for women who have babies. Now, yes, I know some people can't have them. My heart goes out to you. That's a horrible thing. But truthfully, a lot of these people who say that they're mothers, they always say, oh, I'm a fur baby. Or I chose not to have, I have fur babies. I have fur babies. I choose not to have kids. I'm totally able, but I choose not to. That you should not be allowed to celebrate Mother's Day. Again, I do feel bad for people who just can't have kids. But even though you are female, there's something extra, something special about having a child. And it's something that I think we need to celebrate. Yes, I do feel bad for people who are infertile. And I would totally support a celebration, a holiday, an acknowledgement, a week, whatever you want to call it, that celebrates women who can't get pregnant. Let's pull that into the light. Let's talk about it. Let's celebrate them for who they are and the struggles that they struggle. I'd be totally on board with that. But I believe when you celebrate Mother's Day, you need to celebrate the person who actually has that struggle. The struggle of raising a human being. Because I believe when we minimize that or lessen that, we lose out on the amazing thing that it is to be a mother. So there's a controversial part. I know probably one of you is going to unsubscribe. One of the four of you will unsubscribe. That's fine. What I am going to talk more about, though, is my wife and the mother of my children. Again, got the controversial part out of the way. We're now going to talk about my lovely wife, homeschooling mama, and our journey, and kind of really show the point as to why it's different to raise a human child and why we need to celebrate this. So let's talk about why I picked what I picked. So we'll start with a cigar. It is a Stillwater cigar. Stillwell cigar. Now, I've had this one before on the channel, and it was supposed to be the cigar that I was going to smoke around my wife. My wife does not appreciate the smell of cigar smoke. On that note, when I'm done shooting this video, I'm going to go ahead and open up the garage doors so that the smoke doesn't permeate in here. But she always appreciated pipe smoke. When I smoked a pipe, she liked the smell of pipe tobacco. Now, I was going to go get some pipe tobacco for this video, but one thing ran into another, ran into another. I just wasn't able to run down to the tobacconist to pick up some pipe tobacco. I did have some in my liquor cabinet. I had a jar of pipe tobacco, but it was very, very wet, and it's been in there for years. So yeah, I'm not sure if I trust it. Maybe it's fine. It would be really tricky to smoke in a pipe because it is very wet. It's one I tried an experiment where you infuse rum or whiskey into pipe tobacco. So I don't know if it's safe anymore. Had it been dry, I probably would have smoked it, but being wet, I'm not going to trust it. So I decided to go with this cigar, which I was going to be the cigar I could smoke around my wife when we shoot videos together, because these Stillwells are supposed to have pipe tobacco in them. Sadly, I mean, you taste a little bit, but the smoke is still very much a cigar smoke. It's not a pleasant, Cavendish smoke that you get out of a pipe. And I used to actually, my homeschooling mom would actually let me smoke a pipe in the house because she didn't mind the smell of it. So, but alas, this one is kind of supposed to be a cigar for her, so I figured I'd smoke it today in honor of my wife. Sisu Stout, for those of you who don't know, Sisu is Finnish for what we would call strong, but it's much more than that. It was a word used during World War II when the Finns were being heavily persecuted. Their lands were being invaded. They were being starved out. They were being attacked by the Germans. And they had to suffer, the Germans and the Russians, actually, let's be clear. Russia invaded them first, and then Germany invaded them. So they had a real hard time of it. And their culture was about surviving two different armies attacking you, and the cold, and starvation, and everything else that goes along with that. And those that would step up to the challenge, they would say would have a strength, but it's an undying strength, a beautiful strength. To push on against all odds, and then once you get there, you push further. It's a very beautiful word. There are some great books and movies and poems talking about the word sisu. Basically, it means strength. I do believe my wife has sisu. She is a very strong woman, as I believe all mothers are. All good mothers are. They're very strong people to be able to raise a human, to be able to deal with that. Now, the bad mothers, all right, fine, they don't have it. But, yeah, so I picked these two. Kind of the cigar I wanted to smoke with her, unfortunately. It does not smell like pipe tobacco. And then a strong beer for my strong wife. Now, I know in culture today we talk about women. You want to raise a strong, independent woman. And I suppose most people would not look towards a mother to fill that definition. Fair, some mothers are not strong, independent women. But I will counter that every single public servant wife that I've met, the wife of a public servant member that's a fire, EMS, law enforcement, military, they are very strong and independent. It's something my wife actually is. She had times where I would be gone for 60 hours, days. I got called into disasters. I'd be gone for weeks. And she would have to raise the children almost as if she was a single parent. She would be expected to deal with children who were having nightmares or check the house if she heard a loud noise. She couldn't fall back on someone else to do some of these jobs. And she did them. Absolutely, 100%. We had some ice fall off the roof, but when it did, it bounced into the front door, and it sounded like someone was trying to kick down the door. My wife corralled the children and went for her handgun. Called me, and I radioed the police. so they'd come check it out. We had a good laugh at it that, it just turned out to be this big chunk of ice that fell against the door, but it's what my wife had to deal with because her husband was gone. Her husband was off taking care of other people. So she had to be strong and independent. But she had a husband who was willing to protect her, provide for her, do everything he could to support her and my children. And yeah, I really respect my wife for that. She stepped up to that. It was not an easy life to live. To be a public servant spouse, to be the wife in a public servant relationship, it's hard. A lot falls on their shoulders to really maintain the home and to do it alone. There'll be very little support. Before we had the big shakeup at one of the ambulance companies I worked at, they actually had like a spouse league where all the wives and off-duty members would take care of all the families. So the wives would get together, they'd have cookouts, they would bring food. If someone had a holdover, they'd help take care of each other's kids. And then if any of the men were off-duty and could help out with little projects, we would. It was a lot of fun. It was a great idea, great group. Unfortunately, though, we had a bit of a shake-up at that ambulance company, and some of those traditional values were set aside for more of the modern bullshit that you are seeing ruining many places of employment today. So yeah, I am deeply in love with my wife. I'm glad she is my wife. I'm glad we have children, that she is a mother. As most women, when having their first baby, do have a moment of hesitation. Will I make a good mother? She had that. I'm glad to report to her past self that you did great. You're doing great. Our children are being raised very well. They're very respected and respectful. They're becoming great adults. And a lot of that I do attribute to her. Her ability to raise them, her ability to discipline and teach them. Yeah, I do my part too, but one, it does take two. It takes a mom and a dad. It takes us doing our gender-specific roles, and it takes us working as a team. I could not do this alone, nor do I think she could do this alone. To be completely honest and truthful, I don't think either one of us could navigate the world of raising parents or raising children alone. I do believe that something's missing when that happens. The children miss out, or bad things happen when you miss out on having both of those roles represented. Can a dad do more of the motherly role and a mom do more of the fatherly role? I don't think so. I've heard examples of where it works, and all right, I'll concede it's working. Good on you. Great. Glad it's working. But I think that's a lot harder than just reverting back to the role you have. We need to respect and revere mothers. There's the myth that in the Spartan culture, there's only two ways you got buried in the cemetery. And that was to die during childbirth or die in battle. That gave a lot of reverence to mothers and having children. We worship Mary, the Virgin Mother. Sorry, we don't worship her, we pray to her. Let me be specific. We respect her divinity and her authority as a mother. And there's a lot of power to that and a lot of reasons to respect that. So hopefully if you're able to have kids, I highly encourage you to have kids. If you can't have kids, my heart goes out to you. I cannot understand what that must be like, but I can imagine how tough that is. Hopefully you can find some peace with it, find direction of what you should do. But yeah, for those of you who are just not having kids because I have fur babies or the time's not right, stop lying to yourself. Have a kid. The time will never be right. You'll never be ready. But that shouldn't stop you from doing something that's an amazing, amazing thing. Being a mother is one of the greatest things any human being can do. It's one of the greatest things that any woman can do. And we need to acknowledge that and respect it and not try to marginalize it by watering down a day that we set aside to really appreciate the woman who gave birth to us and raised us. Anyway, I hope everyone has a chance to go call their mothers and thank their moms and thank their wives who have children, and kind of reflect on the amazing journey and the power and how much we need to respect who that person is. And then be able to look inward at ourselves and see how we can be better to both support that mission and be better in our role if we are a mother. Anyway, I'm going to go finish my cigar, finish my beer. I'm going to check in on my wife, who's currently being catered around town with my daughters on a Mother's Day extravaganza. Should be great. So anyway, folks, stay safe out there. We'll see you on the next one.